Isn't it peaceful here? The cock crowing in the distance. I've just scattered a load of what in old Sussex we would call conies, rabbits. But I'll just pause briefly here because I'm now on the lower road, and this is, as far as I'm concerned, more than likely the road that existed, or the route as it were, before the A271 as we know it now was built. I think this was the old historic road through the Earth settlement, and although you wouldn't think so now to look at it, look at the way they cut these hedges now with this flail. That can't do the hedge any good at all. They don't cut it. It just rips, as you can see here. Look, unbelievable. Anyway, I digress. Although it doesn't look much now, I'm pretty certain that this is where those Normans would have ended up. Walking down here, following this contour line, because it's basically all I'm doing now. I don't know if that's a farm entrance. There is a farm over on the right hand side, but whether we can see oh yes, you can see here, look, how we're right on the top edge and how the land then begins to drop just a little bit beyond that field over there. And those I called them windmills, didn't I? The wind turbines in the distance. They're over at Polegate. So they're some miles from here. But the Normans would have walked along the ridge just in front of those windmills. I must call them by their proper name. Just in front of those wind turbines. And so you can get a sense of the distance all the way round and along the ridge, and eventually ending up back here. And making their way. Now they might have split into two, and some could have made their way up along the ridge and down to the crossing point at the top end of Wallace Haven, which we will see a little later on. But I'm quite sure that a good number of them would have come this way, because this would have been the way and the route they took to get through what is now Herstmonceux Castle. We won't be able to follow the road through there. We'll join their route at Watling in a few minutes time. A few minutes driving time, a few seconds time on the video, and we'll see how my theory works out about where they might have gone from there. Maybe one lot did go over the top end of Wallace Haven and up into Linfield. They could easily have split into two. Anyway, we're going to head down the road to Watling now and have a look at that. Well, here we are in Watling. And this is the place where I was speaking about earlier, where I think certainly one group of Normans might well have ended up heading towards the crossing of Wallace Haven. But I just thought I'd pause here briefly to show you what a lovely little place it is. The lovely Sussex white weatherboarded houses, traditional telephone box, although does it have a telephone in it? Yes, it does. So you can still make a telephone call. Yes. And I just want to have a look at this post box here. King George the 7th. Edward the 7th. We have another George the 7th, haven't we? That must be Edward the Seventh. That's been here for quite a while in that case. Wow. And then over the other side, this building must have been in use. It's the old school farm. And this must have been a storage barn or something, quite cleverly converted underneath there, but with the doors left open to give you a sense of the history of the place. I think that's quite a clever touch, that. There's St Mary's is a popular name for churches in the area. The church here is St Mary's. There is a St Mary's church in West Ham, St Mary's Church, as we found in one of my very first videos, in Old Town in Eastbourne. And the Lamb Inn is another popular name. We have the Lamb Inn here, we have the Lamb Inn at Old Town, and there's also a Lamb Inn over at Hoo, or Oo as we quite often pronounce it. I'm just walking this way. Don't you walk this way, people will look at you funny. Now, this is one of the nicer churches you'll find in the marshes. At one time probably would have had parishioners come from quite a wide area. Oh, did you just spot them? You might have. I'm just looking at the bunny rabbit. Did you see that? There he goes. Whee! I hope you managed to see that. They're doing some building work here, but doesn't it look nice as the sun comes across the grass there? I won't go in out of reverence. It's barely gone 6 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, St Mary Magdalene, the parish church of Watling. Oh, you can hear the rooks and the crows in the trees. Now, if you're looking for a good bed and breakfast, I wonder what that place is like. Isn't it lovely? Look at this lovely, lovely tree. That's been here a few years, isn't it? My word. That's been here a few years. Is it a chestnut? Sycamore? I wish I knew my trees better. I feel rather embarrassed. My brain is not working this morning. It never is at this time of the morning. Look at that nice... I should imagine now that is a yew. Always been very nicely shaped. Now I don't think I'd want to be on top of the ladder cutting the top of that. And by the old school farmhouse there. I wonder if this actually, yes it does, looks like it still functions as a pub. I wonder what beer that is. Oh. On those barrels it has the words Kegstar. Chemical filtered beer. No thank you. Give me a hand pump any day. Now I'm fairly sure that the Normans would have worked their way around here or this particular group that I was talking about, because there probably would have been a settlement here in Saxon times, being on the top of a hill, and we'd have had to go somewhere, and we needed to get back down in order to cross Waller's Haven. And I think this is where they'd have got. God, you hear those birds? They don't like me being around, do they? This is where they'd have gone, down the horse walk, and that is where I am going to go now. I'll just take a quick walk back to the car. Look at that lovely buddleia there, look. A beautiful scent. And another one of the old houses in the village. Well, would you call it a village? It has a church, it has a pub. I think that classifies as a village. If it had no church, no pub, it'd be a hamlet, that's right. Anyway, that is Watling. Now, we've been to the side of the old Pevensey Bay, known as Pevensey Haven. I'm now the other side, and here's, if I was a Norman, this is where I would have ended up if I was in the group of them that came down from Watling. And you can see how the bluff just rises very sharply along there, but I'm also looking at that building that you can just see, you see up there on top of the hill, because unless I'm very much mistaken, that is what is left up there of RAF Watling, and on top of that rounded bit would have been a big radar dish, because during the Second World War, Watling and the Pevensey Marshes were very important to the Battle of Britain and all sorts of operations abroad, in connection obviously with trying to keep Mr. Adolf H out of this country, and radar screens and everything would have been across here. And as I understand it too, I don't know if they were experimental or if they were really in use, but in times past there would be bits of like tinfoil strung up all over the place, which was designed to interfere with the radar signals or anything like that of any incoming enemy aircraft. I've probably got that all wrong and it's garbled, but it's early in the morning. Those of you who are historians, particularly military historians, will know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're welcome to leave a comment and give me the correct information, for which I was very, very grateful. But on the other side of the road there is looking back, and up there is Boreham Hill, which is where many maps assume that the Normans went down to cross Waller's Haven. You can see obviously this bit is not as wide as Pevensey Bay, but it's still plenty wide enough, especially in that bit there, look. But this, I think, was maybe a slightly narrower bit to cross. Either way, they had to get across it somehow, because it goes up inland right the way up into Ashburnham, although in those days much wider, because you could get boats up there, the big Ashburnham Iron Forge, and that area was one of the centres of the Sussex iron industry. So you would have iron products being taken downstream to Pevensey and onwards for export. So it would still be pretty wide in 1066, so you have to wonder, where did they cross? Was there well, it couldn't have been a bridge, it would have been too wide for a bridge. but a causeway maybe that the Romans have built and was used by the Saxons, you know. And again here, I don't know why they call this Iron Bridge. We used to come here fishing 40 odd years ago, but I honestly can't remember whether it was an iron bridge. I do seem to remember some iron railings somewhere. There's a couple of cars here, so I guess they're fishing. Seaford Angling Club. There's no stone here to say when this bridge was rebuilt. But this is what's left of Wallace Haven now. But if you look that way and look down across there, you can see how wide it is. This flows out into the sea. It flows out through the middle of the marshes, or what's the marshes now, out through what is known as Middle Bridge on the Pevensey to Bexhill Road. And I'm just looking way in the distance there. You can see the top of South Cliff Tower in Eastbourne. Rather stupidly shut the video off instead of getting to the zoom. Now, it's just to the left of that group of trees that you can see in the middle. If I'm zooming past it, you should see the sun reflecting off the top of the building there. Don't know if you can see that. Anyway, I hope you can. Yeah, I think that's got it. South Cliff Tower in Eastbourne. And that's got to be a good 10-12 miles from here. Anyway, and there are the battle ridges in the far distance, looking towards Ninfield. Now we know where the Normans went. Or maybe we think we do. Now, we're up on what is now the A271 that I was talking about earlier. I thought it would only take me about an hour to film this morning. 2 hours later, and I've reached the final filming point. This is pretty much the top end of Wallace Haven as it is now, and you'll see where it wends its way down through the gap, round to the right I think it will go, and out to where we were before at Iron Bridge, and then out to the sea. But you can see in front of you there Boreham Hill, and over this side where the land rises and heads up towards Ninfield. This is a pretty busy road. It's amazing how it's not even 7 o'clock in the morning and the traffic's beginning to build up. It's hard to believe these days. How far up you could get a boat prior to 1066. But that's looking up towards Ashburnham. And even now the streams go right up through there into what were the old iron ponds in the Ashburnham estate. Well, there's a nice little oak tree here, right on the water's edge. One thing that I didn't find out this morning that I would like to have done for you is a heron. But maybe one day. Anyway, oh, there's the smell of cooking getting going. And the gentleman is getting his burger bar ready, so time for me to go home and get me breakfast. But one thing's for certain, whether they crossed here, and I'm still trying to work out how they would have crossed it. I definitely agree with the fact that it wasn't the whole of his forces, it was a part. Now whether they split into two at Earthman Zoo, ooh, that rhymes, or not, whether they crossed here or whether they crossed down there. Where did the Normans go? Well, we know for definite they went that way, and the rest, as I say, is history. I'm finishing the video right slap bang in the middle of the old Pevensey Bay. I'm on the way back down from Watling, which is over there, but I've come to a spot called Churchacre Drove, because here I can zoom in on what I hope, there it is, Earthman Zoo Castle, or part of it. This was derelict, you know, Earthman Zoo Castle, until the 1920s or so, and then it was refurbished to a very high standard. It was eventually took over by the Admiralty, and now the castle and its environs are owned by, I think it's Queen's University of Canada, Montreal, I think, and they have foreign students come over, but still run as a science park. Up on the hillside is the old Greenwich Observatory, and what I'm hoping to find as I come round is the old dome from the Isaac Newton telescope. Not sure if I'm actually there yet. There, I think it is. Have we got it? The trouble is, I do apologise for this. I need to get a marker on it. There it is. It suddenly sprang into view, and then the sun took my light away. That is the Isaac Newton telescope, or what was left of it. So we did manage to get it for you in the end, and as I pan round to the left, you'll see I was going right the way through the middle of that lot. And it's now 7 o'clock in the morning, looking over towards Eastbourne, and already the noise of the traffic, even on the main road a couple of miles away, it's quite noticeable. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this wander around this morning. It's taken me a long time, but you know what? I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. See you on the next video. I'm off home for my breakfast.